Alrighty. We are back tonight, everyone. Who do we got in here already? Who do we got in? So we're going to continue on tonight, folks. Let's see if we have a few people in here. We're gonna continue on. The Fabby Raptor is here. I know it's late, guys. I just couldn't get this house button down. It's summer, so the whole family's been staying up late. So even the young kids. So it's kind of been a little more hard. It is interesting how it's easier to do things during the school year. So everyone goes to bed earlier. Tanit's here. Hoi hoi. Yeah, so we were going to continue on and finish the rest of that live stream. And then I started working on a Lands Rad video this morning. It's the kind of, I mean, the Funcom video does a good enough job on it, I think. But I'm just gonna try to do some speculations and stuff on that. I got sidetracked, guys. I had to go watch Mission Impossible, which I watched tonight. I went and watched it alone. My wife doesn't like that kind of stuff. She doesn't like fun action and awesome special effects and stunts. Forever. She likes to watch 40-year-old Soviet Union soap operas, like on YouTube. Real exciting stuff. Oh yeah, but Mission Impossible. Before we get in here, we get a couple people in here. My thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'm a fan of those movies. Like, really, I've been watching them since they first came out. 96, 97, 96. When the first one came out, I just watched it again recently. The first one. 96, yeah. So I don't think I remember. I didn't watch that I think I didn't watch that movie till it came out on DVD. I believe. That was a weird era, dude. That's a weird time for me in my life. 97 to 2000. It was my first 3 years in the Army. It was kind of chaotic. But the war hadn't kicked off yet. It was just this, like, being back in the Army of the 90s is much different than it is now. Now it's touchy-feely. It's softer. In the 90s, it was a lot more hardcore on the stuff they would do to you. So it was kind of like, but I was a good soldier, so I didn't get in trouble. But I'd seen a lot of other people get in trouble, and And the barracks back then were real crappy, run down. They've renovated a lot of stuff since then. Roach-infested barracks with crappy, like, s cheap windows that would if you just touch it, they break. Crap. These old decrepit barracks. But, like, yeah, it's just a weird time, it was a weird transition because I had no money. You don't make money in the military, really. Just enough to really just barely get by. Now they get paid a lot better. I made I mean, this is American standards, but I was making about $350 a paycheck in 1997, every 2 weeks. That was what I was making in the Army. Now, granted, I'm sure there's countries out there now that they get paid that now, but or less, but I'm talking about US standards. It's crazy, you're just how you start off from nothing, basically. You're essentially kinda homeless in the military in a weird way. You have to rely on them to give you a room and all this stuff. At least you have food, so you're not really homeless per se, but dude, when you're on deployments, that's when you really start feeling homeless. Sleeping on freaking cardboard boxes and making beds, or just on the ground, just literally sleeping on the dirt, using your rucksack as a pillow. It's the good old days. Of course, I was in a combat job, so basically we get treated a little worse, but my army experience is probably not the same as a lot of people. Being in a combat roles is worse. It's a lot harder life than if you're like a admin clerk that works in an office, or like you're the what's the word? What's it really the dental assistant. They got a job for everything in the military. There's people that go their entire military careers and don't even they fire their gun like once in boot camp. I remember one time we're trying to get a so you can do a thing when you're deployed. If you go to like the way it works is when you're before I'm trying to get some people in here before I'm doing a side story here until we get some more viewers before we cover this. But I sidestepped off of Mission Impossible to this. Anyways, to get back to that, I'm looping it back around. It was a weird time in my life in the first few years in the army because when Mission Impossible and other movies were coming out, The Matrix came out during that time, and I didn't even know what the heck it was. It wasn't like now because you didn't have YouTube to go look at trailers, and you'd have to go to a movie to see a movie trailer, or if they showed it on TV, right? But usually, they didn't the better trailers were at a movie, so you'd have to go see a movie trailer back then at a movie theater. Anyways, I remember just back in those days, we used to go to a movie, not even know what it was. Yeah, you'd go for the actor. Hey, the new Keanu Reeves movie come out. The new Brad Pitt movie's coming out. Hey, the new whatever so-and-so movies. The new Clooney movie. The new whatever. The new Stallone. You went. That was back in those days when you went for the actor. You didn't care about the movie really, what it was. Now you care about the movie more than the actor. You want the story. Yeah, because Hollywood actors are pretty much soured. People have been soured on the actors themselves these days, just because of all their political activism they try to push. It is pretty wild that they'll go out there, tell you you're bad, tell you how to live. They live with their millions, but you're bad, and then they turn around and get in trouble for like doing a whole bunch of bad things to women or whatever. But you're bad, and they're the right ones you have to listen to, like Harvey Weinstein. Uh, Man, it's so funny, Hollywood. I wonder it must be pretty weird if you live in your bubble like that, though. You don't really see the real world. Hey, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind being worth 200 mil and live in that bubble, I guess. Yeah. So, anyways, going back to the story about the differences in the military living. I remember we were going on R&R, me and our tank crew. This is a long story, actually. I probably shouldn't get into this. You have to really start from the beginning. But anyways, to cut the story short, we were coming out of a crappy situation from where our little base was, where we were doing combat missions every day, doing crazy stuff, to like the big Air Force base. This is in Iraq, where it's like the nice base, where they have Subway and they have like, what do they have? They had a Burger King and stuff on these bases. This is in the middle of a combat zone, right? So the Air Force and the support units and all these people, all of your support type logistics folks live on the nice bases, and they have swimming pools and Burger King, and they didn't have Cinnabon. They had a not a Dunkin' Donuts. It was something else. Anyways, they have all this crazy stuff on these places, like these coffee places and all that stuff on these nice. They're called FOBs, forward operating bases. There's a giant base, right? And then we were going through one because we were flying home for 2 weeks. It's called a R&R. You get to go for 2 weeks and you got to come back during your year deployment. So we show up, and me and the guys I'm with, I'm like, holy crap, man, these people are living like king. They're living better than back in the rear. The rear meaning back home. So we didn't have any cash. So you can go to a army finance office where it's army people in there, and you can go and like basically ask for $300 cash. Then they take it out of your paycheck the next month, whatever, right? It's not a loan. You don't pay interest on it. It's just like you used to get it early because you need to buy some stuff. And then I remember the people in there just being totally jerks to us. And they've been chilling there for months in air conditioning and nice office shed. It's like more of like a trailer. And we're just sitting there like, dude, can you just give us our freaking casual pay? You need to stand behind this line. You need to wait your turn. All this stuff is like, can you just shut up and give us our money? Yeah, it gets pretty dumb like that. There's more to the story than that, but it's just pretty interesting. I remember the so the guy I was with, my old tank loader. So our whole tank crew would go together at the same time. So 4 people would go on Ardar at the same time. That's how they were doing it at that time. Where they were going to their home, but once we got to Kuwait, I went to the Kuwait International Airport because I was flying to Germany. But some of the other 2 guys, me and Shippy, well, I shouldn't say his name, but anyways, he's going with me to Germany. My old driver, we went to Germany together, and then the tank commander and the loader, they went home to the States. Anyways, that's not the issue. But I just thought it was funny. Oh, going back to that, one of the guys, he knew it was friends with a female soldier that was one of these support unit people, that she was staying on that base during deployment. So anyways, let's go visit my friend. And I was like, okay. We went over there, and then she's like there talking, like it's just like another day in the park. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna go to like the movie tonight, or like I don't know if what are we gonna do? I might go to church tomorrow, but they have like salsa dancing tonight. And I'm like, this is a freaking combat zone. So no, not everybody in the military is created equal, folks. I always hate to tell people that. And we were literally just coming like a day before invading a city. Like literally. It was like an hour away. Oh. So and they had no clue. They're only an hour. They're in the deployment. These people, and they don't have no idea. Yeah, Fabby Raptor, you don't understand that there's a huge disconnect between most of the military and then the people that do actual combat stuff. Dude, they have Pizza Hut out there. Shoot, and they had a Pizza Hut in Afghanistan, in Bagram Air Force Base. They live good. Now, when you're in a armor or infantry or combat engineer unit or whatever, you don't live like that. You're out there. You're the ones getting after it. So yeah, and that's usually, so you only ever see the movies about those kind of guys. Like, so you're not going to see a movie about the guy chilling there at the subway with the barber shop where they give you a head massage in an ice space. Like so they have a lot of the Army and the Air Force. They have support jobs where they're like most of the Air Force is like that. There are a couple Air Force groups that, most of the Air Force, we call it that. Well, they're called the Chair Force for a reason. But we do like the combat pilot. We do like the pilots when they come in and drop bombs for us. That's fun. Oh yeah, people that get deployed. There's people that get deployed to. They call it a deployment. I remember one time, I was talking to some person, or I can't remember if it was maybe it was not. I wasn't even talking to them. I was watching a video or something. They were like, "Oh, we're getting deployed to Germany," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's not a deployment. That's a vacation. You don't deploy to Europe. Like technically it's a deployment, but well, we don't call it that. That would just be called like you're gonna go on a mission there. But then, yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I'm probably the best guy to judge it because my military experience was totally different than a lot of people. I don't think I've never told you guys the real stuff. I'll never probably say any of that on YouTube. Okay, well, I guess we're about a 3. That's all we're at now. I guess we're just gonna start this, and it is late. I did get it started. Let me drop it in the Discord. I thought we'd have like 7, 9 people by now, but we're only rocking with a couple. Like I think it's just you, Shabby Raptor, actually. Dune News. I got started too late. It's my own fault. I can't get these lives in earlier. I just can't do it. I probably could have did it at 6 maybe, but I went to the movie. Plus, after this is it's a chaos time. I call it the chaos time. From like 7 till around 10, my house just gets upturned. Who we got up in here? Who do we have? You're gonna have to go, and even you gotta go soon. Yeah, we're gonna kick this off then, guys. We're gonna continue off where we were last night.
Show that from above as well. Again, to just bring it in that there is a lot of content in the deep desert that is not just like flat out PvP, right? So we really want to
correct. And this is our high-end PvE encounters happen in the deep desert. So the eco labs or ecological testing stations, they're actually tuned for 4 players. So it's the main PvE challenge would be out here where you're going to get those unique schematics that we were talking about earlier. But you need to scout, you need to find them, and then you need to perhaps fight over them.
And work as a team. I think these are tuned towards minimum 4 people.
Yeah.
Right,
We actually showed one in our combat stream.
Yeah,
second part,
2 streams ago.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
They're like kind of wave-based, kind of very different approach than the Imperial testing stations that we have in Haga Basin.
Yeah, and they're
there
different
it is.
every week.
It's the entrance.
Yeah.
So these are going to change every week.
Colony station. And you know, like as the game continues, as we go through live and we continue to update and expand, there'll be more things that show up on the map, for example, Fremen Sietches and things like that, that people would expect to explore. So things will be uncovered. And as I mentioned, like the layouts for the deep desert, they're handcrafted. We have a cool system where we like build the layouts by hand and generate the spaces between them with the sand. So it's kind of like we fill in the gaps with the sand.
That's cool.
But like we are building
That is
new
really cool.
layouts for this all the time, right? And then over time we'll incorporate more and more elements. So there'll be always something to do.
3
That's
days
the,
left,
The
Fabby
pillar
Raptor.
of the game, infinite exploration,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And that's one of the goals, is to create a space that's always
I actually can't wait to
explorable.
go
And
back to work because
something
that
else I'd
means
like
the
to
game's
say
closer.
that I think is like important is we will add, like we have the DLCs and things coming for the game. We'll be adding things in the DLCs, but the deep desert will always remain something that we consider to be at the zenith of the power curve in the game. So we'll keep adding to the deep desert. So let's say that we have tier 5 items in the game and we go to tier 7. Then the deep desert will start to have tier 7 equipment and items and things in it as well. We will always try to keep it on par with anything else we add in terms of power, because the deep desert really is that continually explorable
The
space.
central point that keeps all of the things
Yeah, and
together.
we'll continue to add like stuff, and there will be like in DLCs there'll be places where people can get access to gear that is currently in the deep desert, right? When we do that, we'll also increase the deep desert and make sure that there's more things. So that's kind of the long-term goal. Is to continue updating.
Oh, you applied
the
for a
game,
job,
continue
nice.
adding this stuff.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. To also ensure.
Where are you gonna work
about
at?
that. So while we actually have our team, or actually the spice harvesters, go back to on the way to the quartermaster to deploy, or like to kind of
Harvest the spice. Yeah.
give him the spice, basically. Yeah, give him the spice for the launch rod thing.
Refine.
We do have an additional asset. We have actually a video from a stress test that we did with the beta last week on Friday, where we see a lot of
cart pushing.
things happening.
Shout out to the beta players.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, beta players. Fantastic work on that side as well. So here,
Gotta
that's
start
actually a
somewhere.
glimpse at the stress test that we did. That's also deep desert. Lots of people together in the deep desert, a lot of ornithopters, and it's just really
All
cool
in
to
line.
have like that
Get their ornithopters.
to like
Yeah, we were
see
spawning.
that as well.
They were spawning thopters like crazy.
I guess were
Someone's
you
flamethrowing.
younger, or
Throwing
like are you
Players never behave when you put
In,
them in the same space.
If I remember, that's actually Camille with the flame.
in college or anything like that?
We were.
No, not Camille. Sorry, Ignacy. I mean, that
I don't
was
think we ever had
Ignacy.
really chance to
context
talk
of
in
the stress test, by the way,
the
was
weekend.
like we were testing people crossing the server boundaries with our mesh servers
I
and
love that
fighting
little
on them.
ornithopter back there. Sorry, it's like, sorry, go ahead.
And fighting along the server boundaries just to see how the performance was. So you'll see people firing rockets, and yeah, it was a cool test. I think we got a lot of very useful data out of this.
Yep.
And seeing how people were fighting together.
Also, shout out to our automation team, because they every build,
Crash
right,
Nation,
we
yeah.
have the deep desert, and they have basically they deploy our automation system called Legion.
I wonder if you can
And
lock on,
it goes
or is it
and
all
tests all of these things, right? So
fire
it's
and
got
forget?
Hundreds of ornithopters going back and forth between all the
all the server
zone
boundaries. Yep, there's a lot of testing that goes into a project like this. It's
Yes,
insane.
yes,
And the more sandboxy you get, the more things can break, and that's kind of what
Obviously,
makes it
the more
interesting.
freedom we also give to players,
Yeah,
the more
exactly.
things
Yeah,
Oh,
can
Exactly.
break. And
sick.
like,
Oh, okay.
I think I said that to
But
you
you're better
earlier
now?
as
You're-
well,
you're
that,
gonna
like,
do
you know, story-driven games that are linear and we follow one story
That sucks,
are one
having
thing. We do
chronic
have
illness.
that aspect in the game as well, but I think what we at Funcom really love to do is we love to create worlds where players can write their own stories and can tell their own stories, right? I think that's such a different approach
got, like,
to
Knee and joints
game
and
development.
One of the ways we describe
plantar
Arrakis is the
fasciitis
crisis
stuff
generator,
and all
right?
kinds of
Well, it
physical
is
kind of things,
spawning
like
stories, and that's why
from the
these
army.
tense
So yeah, I know
locations
how
like
it
the
is.
Deep desert are really important.
Not
because
well, I don't know
it
exactly
does
what you have
spawn these
wrong, but
memorable
I know how it is to
moments
have
that you
a
remember, that you go
Exactly.
experience
chronic
with
pain
your friends
all the
in your
time.
guild. You make friends,
Sucks.
you make enemies, and that's really important to like fully experience the the politics and intrigue of.
Man,
of
you've been
the-
6 since you're
100%.
19.
The power of multiplayer.
Wait, you got diabetes or
Yes,
something?
like I remember, like we had a lot of
I got
really
a
cool. Before we go back,
I got a
to
bunch of
actually
friends that
delivering
have that.
this wise, we had
I don't know if that's what it is you have,
very actually a lot of really cool moments from streamers and players and YouTube content creators about the beta weekend or from the beta weekend. And I remember one moment.
Oh, Lupus.
I call it the GTA moment, where one of the streamers, I
that
think,
sucks.
he was harvesting something or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no, he was
treatable, though?
downed.
He was downed by an enemy.
He was
Yeah,
downed but
yeah,
not out.
yeah.
And then the other one comes in and just drives over the enemy that was like targeting him,
Yes.
and he couldn't stop laughing. It's like these little moments that make, that create those stories that are so fun to share as well, and are unique to you then. And it's like, and that is, I think, where for me, that satisfaction of really creating those worlds comes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things, like we get a bit of I mean, it's fine. Like we get feedback like, oh, jank, right? Like, oh, being able to stand on top of an ornithopter is janky. It is, but when they asked me if we should remove that, I said no.
No.
Surfing on an ornithopter is actually
That's very cool.
Why isn't that cool? Like, why isn't that something we want? So like sometimes, we make those choices as well. Like it's like, this might look a little weird sometimes. But you know what? It's way more fun when you can do it.
Yes,
it's way more fun when you can do it.
The meta on beta might have been,
It's something about your immune system is attacking your stuff, right?
We fixed now. We fixed some of the assault rifle issues.
All right, so let's go back into delivering the spice now. Oh, actually, no. Let's talk a little more. I actually wanted to ask you both a question. You actually have answered that recently in an interview, but that's not the reason I'm asking, because I plan to do it anyway. It's like, what is each of you's favorite thing in the game? I mean, you mentioned a few things that we saw, like the transport ornithopter and stuff, but I'm pretty sure there's other things that you're particularly proud of.
So, survival games for me, one of the best things they do is they make the world more interactable than other genres, right? So I think the team has done a great job of like using the harvesting system. Not only does the cut array like cut up the resources and get it, but you come across these like wrecked ornithopters, and every time
That's kind of like a genetic thing, huh?
Cutting off the
Lupus?
wings and
That sucks. I'm
getting
sorry
the
you have that.
resources from it. It just feels great, right? Because it makes the game grounded. So I would say that whole entire system there is really unique with what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I think I'm thinking about the one that I mentioned in the interview as well, probably, but like the Dew Reaper. And the way that you, because I like, look, I made Conan this.
And I'm over here complaining about
Conan's a bit more stock standard in the
bad joints and stuff.
You're chopping down trees and you're harvesting rocks. And when it came to Dune, we had the design principle of like, make your designs fit Dune, do not make Dune fit your designs. And it was like, what is
my stuff's
what
all
does harvesting
physically
water look like in
damaged,
Dune? And there's a
mostly,
line in the book
like
where Duke
wear and
Leto's
tear.
looking out a window and the sun's rising, and there's all these people out in the fields harvesting dew off the
Carrying
flowers.
heavy stuff
And you're like,
and
that's how
running
precious
around
water
for
is on
years.
this planet. And that's a moment that our game needs to have.
Arthritis.
And so
I
it
got
isn't
early
just like the
arthritis,
it's like,
you know.
It's like,
and
it's cool,
'cause
this
due to the
action of
military.
like sweeping the dew off the top of plants using this little Holtzman field
I'm
that
probably too
drains
young
the
for
water
that.
up into, and like, not only did the animation team and the effects team nail that, and the audio team got like all of that works, but it's also like the back end, the time of day, checking when the dew harvest time is optimal, feeling like, and it's so satisfying to be out there like 10 minutes before the sun comes up, and you're filling just liter johns full of water because you
just be careful
understood
pushing
the
carts
game
around.
system and you understood the timing. All of those things.
Well, that
come
might
together
moving
for an
around might actually
experience
help you
that
better
I-
than I'm guessing. Maybe
I think
that is
for
good.
me, it's just like you can't have this experience in any game except Dune. And to me, that's the most precious thing, right? Like I feel like it's so good when all those things come together. Like as a developer, that's just the most rewarding stuff, right? And it feels good. And I don't really care if anyone else.
Oh,
likes
so you had
it.
to be careful
Because
from
I
you had to
love
be
it so
careful
much.
during COVID
No, because I think it really nails
because you were
it, right?
basically
Like,
high risk
I
then
can't speak
during all that time,
more
huh?
highly of how cool that works, right?
Totally
And
get it,
shout out to the
yes.
team who worked on it and everybody who did their part.
100%. No, I
Because
get
ready.
that.
Because games are made by teams, right? That's the
So
other
you had
side.
to you had to
Yes,
be careful during those
absolutely.
years.
So we actually
COVID
made
years,
it
didn't
now
you?
to the quartermaster, and we are
So we're going to deliver
delivered a
spice.
Yes.
Try to win the lands, right?
Dirty Feet Crew.
Okay. So
What's up?
these
Took a while
guys,
to get back.
ask you, so you, because you're sort of you're a minor house or a minor house under
Yeah,
the
Dirty Feet
umbrella
Crew
of
just
Atreides,
watching the
you
finishing
deliver
the live stream
Landsrad
coverage.
bribes to the quartermasters of the Atreides, and they make sure they get where they're supposed to go. So now we're delivering for House of Lexan, we're delivering spice, and the House of Lexan are a part of the manufacturing unit.
Man, I can't wait to get in that later game stuff. I can't wait.
And then
Let's try to get past
and then that will,
that barrier.
In a moment, change the lens rad.
Actually, start
so you can see how you have
leveling up our stuff. I just can't wait because just sampling the game was just a tease. It just didn't do it for me.
Every so often, so it's been a few seconds since the last refresh. Now we should be able to see our.
I could say I've sampled the game and
orders refresh with a certain amount of spice.
To its fullest.
Oh,
that's about all I'll say on that. But even that is still a tease because if you know what, I won't say exactly how I played the game, but
spice and the goal amount
even that's just a tease because I want to play the real game so I can really build my character for real.
Yes. So we haven't worked like once we hit 70,000 points. And we can do any of these activities to earn points, like the control point. We can
claim those.
We can deliver spice melange. But once we've done enough to earn that,
and I've heard the changes they made to combat and things are coming out.
Flip to be a Atreides and say that we've claimed it for the week.
Exactly.
We saw some of that earlier. Remember? He talked about it earlier yesterday.
Great.
Yeah,
so that was a little bit of a
hey, we only got 4 days left.
What mid and end game can look like. Obviously, that totally depends on what you like to play and how you like to play.
I need to rearrange my room so you guys can see all my Dune stuff on live stream on Thursday.
An approach of what can be done.
We're also jamming like dozens of hours of gameplay into like a very quick presentation.
Yes, 100%. Like this is very like preparation is everything, which is of course true for the game specifically as well. But before we dive into the Q&A, we are gonna take a quick look at the Mentats.
Ooh, the Mentats. We've seen this already. We've seen the Mentats. Well, we got people. Hey, everyone's showing up finally.
So then,
Alex Ghost. Hello, hello.
You're not quite dead.
We're just watching the live stream.
Great plot.
Oh, nice. What's your specs on that? Dirty Feet Crew. What's the specs on your computer?
The Mentats, trained on the principles of philosopher Gilbertus Albans, became one of the most important people in the Imperium.
Yeah, they've marketed this game very well, I think.
Immense amounts of data and devise
I've been covering this game for a long time, too.
They are the most advanced tacticians on the battlefield. Combined with advanced assassination and combat technology,
what's the first? I'm gonna look. What was my first?
Ahead of your enemies.
What was my first? We'll watch my first. We'll go back after this is over. We'll go back and look at my first Dune Awakening video. We'll see how long ago that was on my channel, my YouTube channel.
Or even guide the calculations of an
boom! There's my turrety turret. I love that thing.
To assist you with extra firepower. Focusing on strategic control over raw strength, a Mentat is an expert in assassination technology, using poison capsules to trap enemies in a cloud of death, or when out of sight, send in a hunter-seeker before the enemy has even noticed your presence.
I like that when he falls over.
For tactical advantage, the Mentats have devised further development of Imperial technology, such as the shield wall for
you got a 5090. Ooh, nice.
And to fool
what's your processor?
Enemies,
I'm still rocking a 4090. But 4090 is perfectly great for this game. I'm skipping a generation on those cards. I'll wait for the 60 series before I upgrade.
Increasing your mental capacity and further advancing
I'm gonna milk this current.
Will let you hold
I build my own GPU or my own computer, but
to reach the highest
I build my own. Did you build your own too?
Other schools of thought will increase your mental complexity, opening up further possibilities. Focus your mind and calculate each step forward to find the optimal probability for your survival on Arrakis.
That's fun.
All right, and we are back for our Q&A. So our wizards behind the screens and behind the cameras are gonna throw up questions that have been collected.
Oh, the thermal pit? Yeah, it's scary at first, thermal space. You just don't know if you're doing enough, too much, or a little.
I just want to make a reveal.
You can buy like a Corsair thermal paste
today
where it has like a little
They
like
look really cool, though.
piece of plastic, like
but it also looks a bit like
almost like
hockey
a
feet, to be fair. Like at least close up, chat. So it's good you have a little bit of a
template.
It's good
And it gives you a little tool, and you can flatten it off. You can flatten it down.
From what I understand, they're
and you
very
pull
healthy.
the you pull the plastic off, and it's perfectly
That's
on
what they
the.
say.
That's what they say.
I started wearing
processor.
them 10 years ago and I'm still fat, so I don't know. Maybe
Super healthy.
Maybe they're not working out.
Well, your feet are very healthy.
My
Let's go
feet
there.
are massively healthy.
super
Sorry,
healthy.
all right. Enough distraction. I apologize.
No, you don't have to.
The toe reveal was
You
important
don't have
to me.
to. We wouldn't want you any other way, Joel.
I just put
All
like
right.
I don't even
Louis will
get
be gonna
too
kill me
crazy
now.
about it. I don't worry about it. I just put like a little
Wouldn't
like
even
dime
feel the
size worth on there, or
Every
whatever,
other way,
dab,
no,
and then
no,
it just
it's
spreads
all good.
out.
Like it's also you guys make a really nice.
So I use a thermal. I use a thermal or a correction water
I've got
cooler.
pants. He doesn't have pants.
Exactly.
I got a Corsair
yes,
water
those
cooler
you actually
for
wear
my
socks as
processor.
well, so it's just like it's a whole balance thing. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
all right. All right. While we still wait on the questions, there's collecting some of them.
Nobody has
give
any
them a little
questions.
bit of maybe no one has
We've
questions.
answered
Perfect.
every possible question
I
people
wish,
could have is
right?
fully
I
answered.
wish. Like that's kind of both the blessings and the blessing and the challenge of Dune Awakening. I think is just it has so many aspects of different games. That we really try to put together and have people enjoy and understand.
Were you there when I was like presenting to the press about the game and I was calling Funcom morons? For taking it?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do
of course I was
overclocking
there.
anymore.
I was
That's
expecting
fine.
headlines.
I
We didn't
I had
get
too
a
much
single
weird
headline.
crashes and
We
things
didn't
of
get
that.
a single headlines like that.
Yeah.
Funcoms are morons.
Well,
Chief Creative Director says.
Well, we are like we keep trying to, like it's one of the things that I love about working here. Is like they let me do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They let me try and do weird shit. Like
mean-
it's like you could work somewhere where you're doing the same game every year. Speaking of reskins, like and you're making the exact same thing and you're within this box and it's like and like I do like that we're allowed to push beyond those things,
I
right?
agree.
And try harder to do something different. And yeah, it comes with a little bit of jank, but man, I don't know. I feel like it's like the
I agree, though. I think one thing you can't say about us is that we like it easy.
No, exactly.
like-
Oh,
We're
nice.
morons. We make it hard for ourselves every time.
It's what we were talking about.
And
at the
be
beginning,
commander.
Right? We make
Oh, wait.
unique games, right? We take
I thought you were already
risks,
following us.
and sometimes it means that we make divisive decisions. But I think that's what was great about the.
Oh, you
beta,
weren't
right?
you weren't
It's like
following yet?
People got to see what the true experience was.
Welcome to finally the. You're
Exactly.
following on
so
Twitch
we're ready
now.
actually for the question. So is that Lopil 125? Is the exchange global or per server?
It is per world. So the world is what we call a container of all the Haga Basin that you will play and interact with, right? So there are hundreds of worlds. So it is not global.
Yeah, it is one deep desert per world,
Yeah.
2 social hubs per world, and then many Haga basins per world, and that is what we call a world. And yeah, as Scott says, at launch there are hundreds of worlds to choose from, right? And within
Alex
each world,
goes, you only do
there's many Haga
PBO
basins
and
to
that's
choose
it.
Right.
Not worth taking the risk
Alright.
to reward the overclock now. In the past, it was
And
worth it, but they
speak
come around.
of
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
overlap
I think
functions instant
my
for fire?
4090
Can you
is
do
good
them
enough
as
for
a
the
group,
Mac. I
or
maxed
are
the
they
game out
open like the social
on
hubs?
the weekend. So
The answer is that they are not instance for a group. They are per player, and they are not open like the social hubs.
They are instanced, though.
Yes, they are
To a
instanced.
limit.
To a limit.
So several people in the same world can be doing the same, like
Yeah,
the
single.
water fat
Yeah.
engine. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which are kind of our only instant content in that way,
Yes.
in that
Yes.
sense.
Yep. Correct.
Charlie Foxtrot TV asks, how do the different circuits work?
They basically isolate resources so that they can only be used if they're on that circuit. And then you can set a circuit for it's a little bit hard in the UI, but you can set like a machine's input and output circuit
Yes.
that way. And so that's kind of the
I'm
extent
sure you're
of
gonna
it.
get.
Draw from this
I'm
storage.
sure that 5090
deliver
is
to this
gonna run
storage when
fine.
finished, right? Like
What,
we-
you're
and
running
that's
an
also-
This
i9,
group of
Yeah,
connected
and,
items.
yeah, exactly.
You're
And
running
you
an
can
i9
set a certain
processor?
number of storages per circuit, and so
or
yeah,
you're
so-
running a
Yes,
AMD.
that's basically it.
Kriegsdrachen asks, how will they ensure balance between Harkonnen and Atreides?
There are systems. I think I talked about this in that other.
You just mentioned as well as like we have, but you didn't want to spoil it.
I'm not going to talk too much
exactly,
about.
Exactly.
And then when we introduce a third faction, which we are planning to, it will also have a map balance. But that's basically
MB Commander.
what I can say right now.
Yeah.
But
Twitch drops.
I need
to look. I haven't.
It's
I need to go log into my.
100% certain because
I haven't.
When you give
I'll
players
reach
choice,
out to
they
Funcom.
choose.
I can ask them. I'm sure they'll say something about it.
Not 100% people on Atreides on a world, but I think we have pretty good systems in place to make sure that at least feels like it balances itself out pretty well.
Yes, and the Deep Desert is not Atreides versus Harkonnen.
Yes.
It is every person for themselves, right? So even if Harkonnen are kind of dominating a server, or they're 60-40, they're going to be fighting themselves in the Deep Desert as well.
And that's actually something I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Landsrad. Like the Landsrad, you can see the different within the factions who the top guilds are and who contributed the most. Because a part of the Dune thing is that like it isn't that like everybody in Atreides is a monolith. It's actually like people want the Duke's attention, so they want to be further up. And the same with the Harkonnen, right? Like I want the Baron to witness me, so I'm trying to get to the top of the list of guilds. So there should be inter-guild competition even within the factions. So they overall are working towards the common goal of the Landsrad. But they're trying to beat each other to be the best in the Landsrad, so they have the most voting power, they get the rewards, etc.
Yeah, especially also because like one Atreides guild might be focused on PvP, the other one might be super opposed to PvP.
Yep.
So they definitely don't want the PvP
guess they're gonna have
guild to like
balances.
we want
They're gonna have
full
balance.
PvP. So
Yes.
they will work against them and like,
Yes.
we want to be top because we want to have more say in which decree we're actually going to have next week.
Yeah, like exactly.
So-
a crafting guild's going to want the crafting decrees.
Exactly,
And
yes.
they're not going to want the PvP full loot decree, right?
Exactly,
So there's going to be that kind of competition even within the factions.
Yes, exactly.
So, yep, good question.
Cypher asks,
Oh, this is a good
our
question.
bases get raided?
So not in Hogga Basin. They will be safe in Hogga Basin. In the Deep Deserts, it's a bit different.
Yeah, in the PvE section of the Deep Desert, no.
Yeah.
But in the PvP section of the Deep Desert, there is a mechanism by which bases have a vulnerability window where they can be raided. It is a very short vulnerability window, and again, I would point to the lore of the Dune universe. So I'm sorry for everybody who hasn't read the books and doesn't know a way in which shields can go down for a brief period of time. But it is worth looking into because then you'll understand exactly how the mechanics can work. And I know I'm being needlessly cryptic, but I'm sure there's people spamming in the chat about it already.
Let them figure it out. Altman Alchemist, if I don't take the mission
that's
to
what you were
talk
asking
with
about.
Atreides or Harkonnen, will
Yeah.
I be content locked as far as process?
Well, the shields can come down by you get inside the base
Progressing, sorry.
and you take them
The
down.
main story and the ability to craft.
If he's talking, well, that's what's in the book.
Yeah. No. The story
In the book,
I mean, while
Dr.
it involves
Yuit brings
House
the
Atreides
shield
and
down.
Harkonnen, it is not.
That's who betrays
about
the
that. It's
Atreides
about
family.
you, in your
I'm
role
guessing
on Dune.
spies
It's your
or
quest to
maybe
find the family.
a Mentat or
Yeah.
something can get in
So
there.
the
I'm
main
not
story
sure.
follows that. What we were talking about and what we were showing earlier with the different faction unlocks, like in terms of the visuals and those things, you're locked out of if you don't want to join a faction.
But those
You
are
can't get,
pure vanity.
but they're pure vanity, right?
But you'd have to go take the generator
But
down.
yeah, you can't. But one thing you cannot join the Landsrad unless you have aligned yourself with a faction. Your guild must be aligned with a faction to participate in the Landsrad. That is the one hard requirement that I think faction alignment has in the game. That's it. Otherwise, yeah.
So
you can
this
do
week,
all the
guys, we got
content
to figure
without
out in the
joining Atreides or
Discord
Harkonnen.
what faction we're
I
going to
also
align
think
with.
when it comes to
Atreides or Harkonnen.
in the beta, during the beta weekend, you were still very much in the tutorialization part of the game,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I know that some players were like, "Whoa, this is
So
very
doesn't-
linear." And
so I
things.
guess
But the thing
it's
is,
not gonna be a
things
free-for-all
open up
raid
quite
in the Deep
more
Desert.
once
You're still gonna have
cross
to
that tutorialization
take their
section
shields
as well.
down
So
to
you
get in
won't
the base,
be
I guess.
Actually locked progressing when it comes to crafting or very.
So that's going to be what
and
people are going to be trying to do.
Intel points specifically.
In the opening of the game, after character creation,
So it
you
sounds
actually
like your
get a
base
choice
will be
as to whether
pretty
you wanna play
safe
with an
in
unlocked tech tree or a locked
Deep Desert
tech
too,
tree.
I guess, as long as you don't get.
The reason we put that
Infiltrated.
there is so that people who are advanced survival players or people who've played Dune before can
So-
just go, okay, I want the unlocked tech tree, I know what I'm doing. But I recommend, and we recommend, that the locked tech tree is for people who are playing the game for the first time and really, because there are so many, we've been talking about it a lot today, there are so many mechanics that are just kind of Dune mechanics that we want people to learn and we need to teach them. And it's going to be hard for you to know what to do. Like, you don't know about dew reaping and times of day when you should be out harvesting dew unless you follow the tutorials that we we put in place for that, right? So it's just that.
Or that you need to go to shipwrecks to craft better weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Koopa is asking, is there a level cap
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe we're at 200
Yeah.
currently?
currently.
But you can respec.
Yes.
So it's, I believe it's on a 48-hour cycle. So even if you cap out and you play something and you decide you don't like it, you can switch to something else.
And there's a point where you run out of, like, you stop getting unlock points for your tech tree, intel points. And then we have a mechanic in the game for you to go around and unlock more intel points by going to bases in the world, like enemy bases and outposts. So there's a level cap that puts a stop to some of those progression things, and then the next step from there is for you to go and explore more and enjoy the game more.
Because we do want you to make some choices.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
exactly. Also,
I'm
like,
researching
there's
the
different
Landsrat
level
stuff.
and
I'm
skill point
gonna make
caps,
a
right? Because you have
video.
character level,
Try to
you
make a
have
video
skill
on
points, and you have
Landsrat
intel
stuff,
points.
but
So
just
there's like 3 different
problem, man, I
caps
just-
that you
Yeah,
I'm
particularly
so
use.
far behind on some of the details on some of these systems due to my real
K69N is asking,
life
is it
work.
possible
My
to lose all your gear?
real
in
life
PvP?
is taking up
So
too much of
not
my
in-
time. It sucks.
Not in PvP in the base level. In the deep desert, you lose resources that you're carrying, Solari and Spice. And you take durability damage to some of your gear, right? That's what happens every time you die, PvE or PvP. But if there's a specific decree from the Landsrat which enables full loot PvP in the deep desert for 1 week, then that's the only time in the game where you can lose all your gear in PvP. That's it.
Or if you're fighting in the sand and a sandworm comes and eats you.
Yeah, sure.
If you try
I guess
to
you
fight
can
the
lose all your
sandworm,
gear in
yeah.
PvP.
The
But we
sandworm.
count
That was bad. We're
is
gonna
the
go back and
sandworm
look at that
PvP
section
Really?
You know.
at the end of
It's
this
more like PvE. But yes.
when they were mining the sand.
100%.
That was awesome. Or the Spice, I should say.
Wolfie 1974. Are we going to be able to get blueprints that devs made of their bases?
Oh, the Tor
Ooh.
Eagle presents.
Exactly. This is Tor Eagle presents. That's actually very
That's a
cool. I
great
love
idea.
that idea. That's actually a very
Maybe
cool
we can
idea.
fill up some vendors
Yeah.
post-launch with some of our
I was
pre-mades. Maybe.
yes.
We'll
I
see.
was just about to say I don't think players should actually pay for them per se, but we should, or maybe they need to. I don't know.
You don't want copies of my
I mean,
bases.
you shouldn't. No, actually, let me rephrase that. We shouldn't have a dev sell those items in game, but we can sell it via
Oh,
NPC.
sure, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I meant, right?
Maybe
Like,
we can put a vendor or something
that'd
like
be cool.
that.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
maybe a vendor in the world can sell some blueprints.
You see, like Tor Eagle bases
Toregel's the
everywhere.
guy. Toregel's the builder among us. Mine would just be no one
Mine
wants,
are boxes.
No one wants to see
Yeah.
my. I'm the guy who tests T2P
New dog houses.
TTP every time.
Yes.
So
I'm sure we're gonna have players who make fantastic buildings. Okay, Quintinovic is asking, will GeForce now be in Dune Awakening?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's
I have no idea.
discussions going on.
There's
at least.
discussions. I can't remember what the last is, but people are looking at it. Yeah.
I don't have Slack open, otherwise you could check.
GeForce
Someone
Now
was
is
just, like
the
hammering
streaming
messages
service,
to
right?
me
Yeah,
online.
So
It's like
the question, I guess, would be, will Dune Awakening be on GeForce Now for streaming?
yes, that's what I
Yep.
interpreted.
I don't
as
know
well.
the answer. I'm sorry, but Scott.
Yeah, I don't think I have an official answer, but I believe so. But yeah.
What I want to know
Open
is
comments. How do you balance
is
the console
Switch
wins?
2
If
on the
one
plate
side gets
for
unique weapons,
console
will that
release?
side have a better chance to win the next vote down the line?
Not necessarily.
planning on buying a Switch
because
2
the
eventually.
tasks for the Landsrat are pulled from so there's 25 tasks per week, and there's a pool of
Switch 2 comes out on the
400
10th.
tasks that can potentially show up.
I might go buy it when
you,
it comes
first
out.
Of all, don't
It comes out in a
necessarily
week.
know what's going to be there. Unique weapons doesn't actually influence everything. Some of the tasks are kill tasks.
I think it comes out on the
You don't know
10th, I
which
believe.
tasks are going to be revealed first. You also have to bribe Landsrat envoys with spice to reveal tasks. And if your faction does it before the other faction, you'll see, okay, we need to do this. So you might just get ahead because you had more spice or whatever. It's not going to come down to unique weapons. Absolutely not. That's not going to be the thing that means that one side gets a sudden landslide kind of advantage. So I think that's the best way to answer that, I think, from my perspective.
I think that's a great answer too, and I think it just goes again into people are a little bit too afraid that everything is about PvP and fighting.
Oh, it comes out on the 5th.
Endgame, and that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
And hopefully
man.
we explained that a little bit
Yeah,
today
I
as
mean-
well for people to feel a bit more like,
Dude, this
you know,
comes out the same day as
relaxed
Dune.
about that,
Dune.
or disappointed, depending. Dr. Evil Eye, is there any content or materials that are hidden behind PvP, meaning that the only way to
Oh
obtain that
man, guys, I'm gonna have to go buy me. I'm gonna wait on the Switch too until.
I wouldn't say hidden, but yeah. Like
There's
you
really no
can-
reason
you
to get
can-
it at launch.
The deep desert.
There's not
which we
enough
just
good games out
explained,
yet
is a
on
place
it.
where
That's,
tier
like,
6
if there was a
gear
Zelda
is
or
like
Metroid or
items
something,
and materials
I'd
for
go run to
crafting
get it,
those
but I'll probably
things.
wait.
You need to go there to get those things. You can buy them off the exchange. You can trade for them with other people. But yes,
I might
you
just
have
wait
to go
till
to that
Dune comes
place
out on
in
it.
order to get those things. And there is a risk.
That's
of
four.
people
That's
attacking you when you're in
$450
that
bucks.
place.
That
We
ain't
tried to
cheap.
explain that this is a very large place. It's not going to be possible for a guild to cover the entire space. It's
Yeah,
just
there's
not going to be
numbers.
possible.
Yeah. I think guild limit's 32.
The guild limit
Yes.
is 32
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So 1 per kilometer,
Yeah.
maybe, if they stretch
Yeah,
across.
they'd have to stretch all the way across, and even then, I think there's all kinds of
Yeah,
tactics
yeah,
and
yeah.
ways to draw them off, and I don't think it's going to be a problem.
There are potentially hundreds and hundreds of people that can be in the deep desert,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So 1 guild would be outnumbered by 100 people.
Again, if you want to rat, you can rat.
Yeah,
Like there's options, right?
And also, like the tier 6
Yeah,
gear
Alex
isn't
goes, that's what I'm
required for
thinking
the
too. It's just not
story
enough
or
games, yeah.
anything that's having to do with
Yeah.
Rocket Basin, right?
It's-
It's sort of just
There's like
the
only like a
deep
couple
desert
games
route.
coming out,
But
right?
we can't tell people that they can't get to
I'll
the
wait
top
till they
number
remakes
go
of the
up
Zelda
because
games,
Sure,
people
like
always want
the
that.
advanced, or what do they
So
call them? The
There are
Even
other
though-
ways to get it
Even
done,
though it's
yeah.
not required, I know people are going to want it.
I feel like it makes sense though because those
they're
people
gonna
who
make
really
the,
care about the highest
enhanced
tier are probably the PvPers.
Switch 2
and they
versions of
wanna be in the
Zeldas.
deep desert in
Then
the
I'll
first
probably-
place. So I feel
I'll
like
probably
it's
buy
kind
it.
of a natural balance there
Yeah.
too. in that
Hopefully,
way.
we also have I think there's this weird. I speak to a lot of people in our closed beta and our Discord, right? And I see that like there's people who kind of assume that everybody who is a guild in PvP is going to be this toxic, sweaty kind of. And I think
Right.
it's going to be the opposite. I think we're going to have the good guy guilds who are out there actually protecting
people.
and like helping people out. I've seen it in the beta already. People, oh, I got lost in the desert, help, and people would come and help them,
Yes.
give them
Yeah.
rides home,
Yeah.
like give them more gear. I've seen people in the beta like just give other people an ornithopter when they lost one because of a bug that was in the game from our end. They're like, oh, do you want an ornithopter? I have a spare one, right? It's great to see. And I think that people worry too much about toxicity. Hopefully we'll keep track of it, of course, but
Yeah.
it should be fine.
And you have 1 player for the
Yeah.
entire world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and you are your name, right? So you will have some sort of reputation.
Yeah, exactly. There's that as well.
Yeah, as a callback to more old school MMOs that I grew up with, like EverQuest and all those. But anyway, so we have 2 more questions. Fort Team is asking, do you need a sync chart for each person in your guild?
Yes. You need to create a sync chart for every person who's going to want to reveal those things
Yeah.
that you've got in your sync
They're
chart.
single-use items.
Yeah, they're single-use items, consumables, once you've created them.
And last questions. Neo Valkyrion, can transport ornithopters carry other ornithopters?
Yes, they can.
I mean, if I go to a
They can
store,
indeed. I was playing it earlier. I was flying
if I go
around
to like
carrying a
Target or
medium
Walmart,
with
They
my
can pick
transport.
up pretty much
Like-
anything.
Yeah.
in June or
And
July,
passengers
and I
too.
see one in stock, just like
Can't pick up people.
available,
Unless they're
I might just buy it.
Sitting
But
inside of
if I'm not going to be running around trying to
All right.
wait in
All right,
lines and all this
so
crap.
that was it with the questions for today and also for our last
Yeah.
developer stream before
Exciting.
Head Start and the official release. I'm like still like how okay, so
It's like 7
how
days,
do
8
you
days.
how do you boys feel? Gents.
Me
How do you
first.
feel?
Go, Scott.
Pretty good, right?
Pretty
So beta went really well from
Yeah.
our perspective. The tech was stable, and that's what we're always worried about because we knew the game was pretty good, or we thought the game was
We
really
think
good,
so,
right?
yeah.
And all the tests we had run showed that, but we were a little fearful, that tech would hold, and it went really, really well with the closed-ish beta, right? The weekend, where, the server crash rate was low, the client crash rate was within our acceptable tolerance, and we're fixing most of the issues that we found. So cautiously optimistic, right? Incredibly excited to show the entire game. And
I think we might be able
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
See reactions.
I'm-
How many people
The
are
last
in my
week is
are in the
always-
Discord here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Clench.
it's 5 years of your life, right? And it's like I think that's the thing that I think is like what I'm not sure people understand. Is like when you've been living and
Got
breathing
quite a few people on
this kind of
Discord.
thing for
We
5
can get them all
years.
in the guild.
and then like you see the game industry is volatile.
Yeah.
Things don't go well for people. We have a team of that I love to work with. We have a team of great people that we've built over the last years, and it's like it isn't about like success in the sense of like, I just want to say that it is a game that I think is great, right? And I've played it and I kind of know that it has a lot going on, right? And I think it works well. And from the beta, we got some confirmation of that. But I want my team to be together making games for a long time, right? So for me, this is like, I'm nervous about that, right? Like the gaming industry is not a safe place anymore, right? It's not easy to guess what's going to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching things and like, you see things that are fantastic from small teams going great. Like, and there's been some fantastic games this year and games that you wouldn't have predicted coming out of nowhere. Like Schedule 1 is a great one, but also like Claire Obscura, I'd heard of it, but I hadn't heard of it until really it blew up. And so you see these games, these huge successes. So I think it's like, you don't want to have the arrogance to think that you could be among that, but you hope. And that's kind of where I'm at least. I'm hoping we strike a vibe. I'm hoping that all the decisions that we made, and there's 10,000 decisions on a gaming project, right? There's 10,000 decisions, and every one of them
he's very humble
is
with
about
this.
moving
He's not trying to
towards a vision, a creative vision, a vision of a universe.
They're keeping their expectations at a middle level,
right? And that's
on the game.
I don't know. Like I'm
to see if
extremely
it's successful or
nervous,
not.
but
That's why they're
what we're
waiting
trying
on
to get to,
console,
right? And
folks.
that's, I hope,
100%.
what
I'm
people
guessing
feel when they play the game is, yeah, okay, you nailed it, right? Like that's what
because they want to see how the PC does.
I feel like we've made.
If it doesn't sell well, they're probably not going to do a console version.
Where you're walking right on Arrakis, you're experiencing Paul's journey.
We're skipping 2001's Frank Herbert's Jr.
But for me, right, in a modern sense anyway. So it's and we have a story when we want to tell. People saw a really short glimpse of it in the beta, but there's so much more going through the rest of Act 1 and Act 2, right? Playing through that. And there's this long story that we want to tell over the, Lex, you said 10 years, right, on the thing, so I'm seeing that. So
10.
we have a long story.
Our guild is House
we want to
of
continue
Erasmus.
releasing updates, every 3-4 months
Type
with
it.
additions to that
This is
story,
what we voted
in
on. We
addition
did a
to
vote.
the DLCs that we're going to
That's what won.
to come out. So when you buy the game, you're getting everything here right now, plus all the story content that we'll continue to release over the next year.
And that's what it's going to be called.
We're
excited.
It's
and maybe
that's
I did a bunch of votes on that in the Discord, and that's what
I'll say this for the record.
Erasmus
really
being
proud of
the
that team, what
thinking
they've done.
machine. It's kind of more of a
like no matter what happens, all of them can hold their heads up high.
AI thinking
worked
machine.
Really hard to bring this
loyalist.
Absolutely, shout out
It's just
to
for
our
fun.
teams, the many teams.
He's the main
work on this
bad guy
game,
character
all
in the
different
prequel
departments.
books.
Every department.
And
Is AI.
absolutely, it's a beast of a game. I think we can say that.
Yeah.
And I'm actually getting goosebumps now. I'm sorry. I'm actually getting goosebumps. I'm such a. Yeah, anyway. But I think that's a wonderful note to end this, again, last developer stream.
Yeah.
Yep.
On for before Head Start and release. One thing we can actually say is that you will be able to upgrade your editions on the 10th of January. So there will be an option.
10th of June, I think.
10th of, sorry, June. Oh my God. Yeah. That wonderful ending. I just completely forgot.
That's fine.
Oh well.
Congratulations.
Anyway, pro here, right? Yes, so 10th of June, when the game goes into full release, you will be able to upgrade your editions, should you want to do that. There will be options on Steam. And we'll be ending. Thank you so much again, Scott and Joel, for being here, doing out of your busy schedules. So we really
Alex
appreciate
Ghost,
talking
new
to
subscriber,
us.
thanks.
And we'll have
Been hanging
a
out.
nice
Oh, you went
trailer.
over to YouTube.
And
Thank you.
With that, I thank everyone for watching and joining us today. And hopefully you'll enjoy what's coming your way.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, see you on Thursday.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thursday. I want to go back to the scene when they were mining.
So then, you're not quite dead.
It's right
Like
here.
the show
This is from
now.
yesterday, guys. I'm gonna show
This is where
This was
the
my
War
favorite part of this
Assassins
live
and the
stream.
PvP is allowed to
The
happen.
spice blow.
And you can see a spice blow in the distance, which draws people from miles around.
If you didn't
to
see
go
it
get
yesterday,
right.
if you haven't
And
watched this yet,
I do want to say,
Deep
this
desert
section
mining.
here, if you turn the camera right and left, you can see that we have the shield wall. It goes. This is 24 kilometers long, and you can't see people all the way along. So people who are like nervous about going into the deep desert because they're worried about the PvP is. I think there's like an element from my end, a designed moment that we've talked about on this project quite often is like you come to the edge of this vast ocean, and you dip your toe in the water, and you're a little bit scared of sharks, but you see something in the distance, and you think, I can make it. I can get there, and I can get back. And the first time it's scary, and you feel that tension, and the second time, and the third time, but you feel that tension, but you actually start doing it, right? And I get that people worry about toxic behaviors and ganking and so forth, but we tried to build, but like, it's like giving too much information for free to players actually limits our ability for people to have politics and intrigue. Yeah. Because if I can see your name over your head,
that is just so cool. The spice plume here.
Right, but if I don't know
if every raptor,
you dress in my clothing and you walk into my base,
when you start your job,
around, it's like I might just think that you're my friend from the guild, when in fact you're just like, you know, trying to infiltrate. And we want to allow that possibility because that is Dune. At its core, that is how things work. There are plans within plans, there are groups within groups.
I remember that from early on, where your kind of law was information has to be earned.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was a very early thing.
Can I just point out that we just crossed a server border?
Yeah.
Like our game has server meshing tech in the deep desert. It's been a very painful technical thing to get working.
Yes.
I mean, it's Walmart. I think you'll be okay.
Border. You probably might not have even noticed any sort of hitching or anything because it's very seamless. And
Fab, you have any computer skills?
Team who've been working their butts off.
You good at computer stuff at all?
Shape. But we just crossed a server border from one server to another, and it's basically
Windows management or anything
visible,
like that,
which is great.
Yeah, what we call like authority transfer.
Authority transfer between servers. Yeah. So now we're picking up a random sandcrawler and bringing it out to the spice harvesting field. So, I mean, I love that. I love that mechanic. I think it's fantastic fun in the game, just picking things up.
The transport ornithopter is quite slow.
Yeah, it's very slow.
So it is dangerous to go out just in the transport ornithopter.
And you can, of course, sit in the harvester while being.
I know. Have you thought about trying to get like a work from home, remote kind of help desk
job? You can bring a whole little group with you.
Or study for like a
harvesters as well, which is also super fun to do.
You know, like
we should talk about spice.
A+ cert or
ties the entire
a security plus cert or something for
all the tier.
Take one of the IT certs and try to apply for like a
set of resources, right?
You know, basic help desk kind of job or something.
So your end game
work from home. A lot of those jobs are.
Tools,
you can do.
End game vehicles.
Everything.
Help people fix their accounts
and spice for crafting essentially. And also, we mentioned the
that's
Landsrad.
good stuff to get into. IT work.
The center square of the Landsrad requires spice to win. It's important. The Sandcrawler
pays way better.
Is like, it's not the full harvesters that you've seen in the films. Those are owned by the big houses. But as you can see here, this is like a little raid event. We just placed a thumper on the sand. We have a guy on a bike. He's riding around dropping thumpers.
You should also.
Oh, you're in cybersecurity. Yeah, that's what my bachelor's degree is. Cybersecurity.
Are really important because sandworms roam the deep desert. They will be coming, and you need to be placing out thumpers to distract them away from that sandcrawler while it's harvesting spice. And you want to keep it on the spice as long as possible, just like in the book. You want to stay on the spice, earn as much profit as you possibly can. You can even see the trail that the sandcrawler is leaving in the spice. It sucks up spice into its little vacuum pack.
Yeah, so
I do a lot of Linux now.
Not stops, but it's less of a threat as you're going throughout Hogga Basin into the mid game. But then at the end
that's what I do for my job.
There's sandworms all over the place, and it becomes a threat.
I was a Windows guy.
Especially when you're trying to get.
Now I'm a Red Hat engineer.
So you saw the sandworm just took that thumper. Hopefully our intrepid.
I let the cat out of the bag. That's what I do for a living.
They're totally well organized. They have like several people placing out thumpers. They have like the scouts here in the air that we see as well, which is really cool to see.
Looking for worms.
Plus our transport to be ready for any kind of danger that might occur.
And so as soon as the sandcrawler, like the person driving the sandcrawler knows that they're the target of the sandworm, they need to radio in and be like, get me off the sand, so that the transport ornithopter will pick them up. But at the moment, I think we're using the thumpers effectively as a team, and this is a part of it, right? Like, this is why the deep desert is very Dune. I don't think you have this experience in any other game, and the idea was to create this. So if you here with your guild, there's something to do and it's fun and it's interesting. But then
VM
other
server?
players might show up as well, and that's where it becomes another step.
You mean like
so
what? Like what do you mean distro?
Is that what you're saying, Joel?
We could talk
like
about
vSphere and all that kind of stuff. vCenter.
We could talk about like that some of the best games in the world are reskins of other games.
So you see here though
I do
that there is
VMware
a
stuff.
lot of sandworms that are popping up here constantly, which is both fun to see but also terrifying.
There is a limit.
I build the servers and I install that. I install.
Yes, they do eventually get annoyed.
Eventually,
There's
they
like,
And then I
I'm
manage.
not that dumb, right?
Yeah.
Like,
a whole bunch of stuff
They'll
on
eat
them.
thumbers for a while.
I see what you're
That's
doing.
just part of what I do.
They have a diverse palette.
Yes.
Well, you mean
yeah,
like
this is
what
like,
version of
You also
Linux?
see nicely the scouts around.
Well, I
see, like,
use
also
personally.
potentially looking out for sandstorms
Yeah,
coming in. Of
sandstorms,
course,
yes.
Yeah.
they're
It's expensive,
devastating in
but
this
I'm not
particular-
paying
yeah,
for
one
it.
side.
You red hat.
Enemies coming in as well.
Enemies coming in.
potentially.
Yeah. So yeah,
It's like-
this
it's-
is
I
kind
think
of
it's
the experience
considered,
of, like harvesting spice in the deep
Fedora?
desert from a large
No,
spice blow.
what's it
And
considered?
there are smaller spice blows like that you can come to
Yeah.
with a smaller guild.
We also have them in Haga Basin, of course.
Yes,
just way
there's
smaller than
just a
this one.
couple ones in Haga.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very limited because we wanted spice to be a rare resource that you need to go out here into the deep desert to get.
And talking about like concentration of people, like the spice flow you can see from really far away,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
20 plus kilometers
Yes.
away. So you do need to bring some friends to be looking out. for
Fedora
other
is like the
people
free
coming in.
version.
Yep.
That's another
Yeah, I don't
topic
use
on there.
Ubuntu.
So,
I'm more like
I know
on
we've seen some,
I guess it's considered
comments
Fedora.
from people that are like, well, you have to.
Red
go
Hat's a
into the deep
company
desert
that
to
just
get,
uses
like,
it.
the highest
It's
type
like
of gear.
you have
and
to pay a
such.
subscription for their stuff. But
What
then
do we-
Not true.
Um,
we have the exchange. We just showed that before, right?
try Rocky
you
Linux
can be
if
somebody that is making.
Yeah, I don't-
something
I'm not a
that
big Ubuntu guy.
Person on the exchange.
Yeah, I don't
would
like
want, right,
Ubuntu.
that goes
I
into
go
the
with,
deep desert to get spice or to get like
Rocky
some
Linux is
schematics. They can go to Arrakis or Hargo.
Rocky
Grid,
Linux is like
post
a
that,
free
and
version.
then you can trade it on the exchange, or you can meet up in
Let me
person.
see if I can
and
find
trade,
it.
with the
Picking up the
PvP.
crawler.
I think
Oh,
there
oh.
might have been some we can't hear it though, but there
At
might
home, I
have been
will
some
use this.
rumblings and some indication that
Yeah. We I think that they
Some
got worm sign
big
and they need
threads
to move.
is
Yeah, we
potentially
do have a
coming.
known bug in the game where the spice color disappears from the sand.
It's still there. Yeah.
But yeah,
Here.
so it's
This is what I recommend you
Oh,
use
there he is.
That's why they
and there's the
we can
grandfather
actually
one.
hear
for
that,
home
yeah.
stuff.
that's shy.
It was great seeing the little sandworm.
Yeah, the
right
little
by the
tiny one on the
sandworm.
side. You can see the scale.
Little baby like
Look into that.
getting into action there.
This is the ring mouth.
It uses yum distribution commands and all or
And
for
that's gonna
repo.
swallow
repo installs
everything
and all
that's
kinds of
in the
things, yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
They're like just everything there is lost.
It
and
takes
it's just
a lot. But these guys managed to succeed and they can take their haul out of the deep desert today with them.
very well prepared.
Yeah.
They were well prepared.
Very well prepared. So as our crew here is now going back to actually maybe we can explore a little bit because we do actually have
Yeah, because
Imperial
Red Hat you got to
stations
pay
here as
for. It's
well.
like paying
And I
for a
think we're
Windows
actually
subscription.
somewhat
Yeah, Red Hat
close
stuff
to
ain't
that, if I
cheap,
remember
that's for
correctly,
sure.
So we can maybe show that from above as well. Again,
I think you can
to
get
just
like one free instance
bring
of it or
in
something,
that there
but
is
yeah,
a lot
it's.
of content in the deep desert that is not just like flat out.
I got the
PvP,
guy
right?
always
So we-
calling me,
we
Red Hat
wanna,
guy calling me to
Right.
buy stuff, and I'm
this
like,
is
dude, I
our
don't buy it myself.
High-end PvE
I use it.
encounters happen in the deep desert, so the
Leave me alone.
Eco labs or ecological testing stations.
Yeah. Oh,
they're
yeah.
actually tuned
Apologies.
for 4 players. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
it's
do a lot with,
the main PvE challenge would be out here where you're going to get those
The
huge
Red Hat
schematics that we were
specific
talking
stuff,
about
like
earlier. But you need to scout, you need to
Identity
find them,
access
and
management,
then
stuff
you
like
need
that.
To,
You know, like
perhaps fight over them.
We
their
work as a team. I
version
think
of
these are tuned
Active
towards,
Directory and
minimum 4 people.
Yeah.
all that kind of
We
stuff.
actually showed one in our.
So I was a
comments
Windows
here.
guy originally. I was a
Yes,
big. I was a.
exactly.
I
They're
ran.
like kind of
was an Active
waves-based,
Directory manager.
kind of very different approach than the Imperial testing stations that we have in Haga Basin.
Back in the day, I
They're
I would set up all. I would run all the DHCP
you know, like, as the game
servers for
continues,
printers
as we go through
and print
live, we
servers and all
continue
that kind of
to update and
stuff.
expand, there'll be more things that show up on the map. For
I'd build them
example,
from the ground
friendly
up,
features
and
things
I would,
like that,
and then I used to like
that
flip.
people would
I would
expect to
flip
explore.
networks
So
of
things will be
healthcare
uncovered.
facilities
And
too.
as I mentioned,
when they would
like, the
migrate to
layouts for
new.
the deep desert, they're handcrafted.
They
We have a
would
cool
migrate.
system where we, like,
These
build the
hospitals would
layouts by
migrate
hand
to.
and generate the spaces between them with the sand. So it's kind of like we fill in the gaps with the sand.
You don't like
but,
Active Directory?
we are building
I don't mind it.
new layouts for this all the time, right? And then over time,
You know
we'll
what?
incorporate
Compared to
more
the
and
Red
more
Hat stuff, it
elements.
is sucky.
So there'll be always something to do. That's the pillar of the game, infinite exploration, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the goals, is to create a space that's always explorable. And something else I'd like to say that I think is like important
I
is
did my
we will add
master's degrees
like we have
cloud
the DLCs and things
architecture,
coming for the
so I'm
game.
like kind of a
We'll be
AWS
adding
cloud guy too,
things in the DLCs,
which is a whole other
but
monster
the
to deal
deep
with.
desert will always remain something that we consider
You know,
to be
use
a
your
behemoth of the
use
power
Red Hat
curve in
or
the game. So we'll keep
AWS
adding to the
identity
deep
access
desert. So let's say
management.
that
You
we
use your
have
the
tier
JSON
5
files to
items
create
in
all
the game
your
and we go to tier 7.
cookbooks and all that
Then
crap
the
on
deep
there
desert
for your
will start to
deployments.
have tier 7 equipment and items and things in it as well.
I don't
We
do
will
that for
always try to
work,
keep
though.
it
I
on
just went to
par
school
with
for it.
anything else we add in terms of power, because the deep desert really is
the most
that,
cloudy kind of thing I do, which is not even cloud, but
explorable
The
VMs.
central
I do
point
VMs.
that keeps all of the things
Yeah,
together.
we'll continue to add like stuff, and there will be like in DLCs there'll be places where people can get access to gear that is currently in the deep desert, right?
Yeah,
When we do
AWS
that, we'll also increase
sucks.
the deep
I
desert,
think
make
it's
sure
not
that there's
very
more
good.
things. So that's kind of the
Be careful
the
in there too,
long-term
because
goal
you start
is
like
to continue
signing up
updating
for
the game
stuff
and
on that
continue
thing,
adding
and
stuff.
you start getting
Exactly.
charged.
Yeah.
Like their
To
red
also
shift they
encourage
use,
players about that.
like their
while we
their
actually
hardcore
have
developmental
our
stuff
team
they
or
have.
actually
Dude,
the spice
it's like
harvesters
red
go
shift
back
and
to on the way to the quartermaster to
other stuff they have on there.
to kind of
Harvest the spice. Yeah.
give him the spice.
they start
basically.
charging you.
Yeah, give him the spice for the launch rod thing.
Refine.
We do have an additional asset. We have actually a video from a stress
Yeah,
test that
Okta.
we did with the
Yeah,
beta.
well, we have
uh,
Okta single sign-on.
last
Oh, dear.
week
Our
on
company
Friday,
uses for our
where we
admin
see
stuff.
a lot of things
Shout out
happening.
to
use
the beta
our-
players.
Yes,
I'm a
thank you,
RSA
beta
guy.
players.
That's what I know how to do. RSA
Fantastic
we do
work
RSA
on that side as well. So here, that's actually a glimpse at the stress test that we did.
I manage
It's
all
also
kinds
deep
of crap,
desert.
man.
Lots of people together in the deep desert, a lot of ornithopters, and it's just really
All
cool
in
to
line
have like
to
that.
get their ornithopters.
to like
Yeah, we were
see
spawning.
that as well.
They were spawning thopters like crazy. Someone's flamethrowing, throwing bombs. Players never behave when you put them in the same space.
If I remember, that's actually Camille with the flamethrower there.
We were.
No,
we-
not Camille.
Yeah,
sorry,
Okta is what
Ignacy,
we
I
just
mean.
switched
That was
to.
Ignacy,
The
actually.
context of this
Our-
stress
our-
test, by the way,
my
was
company's
like we were
HR
testing,
stuff switched to
people
Okta.
crossing the server boundaries with our mesh servers
I
and
love that
fighting
little
on them.
ornithopter back there. Sorry, it's like, sorry, go ahead.
And fighting along the server boundaries just to see how the performance was.
Yeah, I
So
don't
you see people
do
firing rockets and
corporate
it was
or
a
HR
cool
type
test. I
stuff like
think
that.
We got a lot of very useful data. out of
I'm
this,
on
Yeah.
I'm on a
and seeing how
site
people
that
were fighting together.
Also, shout out to our automation team.
I'm doing
because
specific stuff
Every
for
build,
specific-
right? We have the deep desert, and they have basically they deploy
I don't
an
do-
automation system called
well,
Legion, and it goes and it
I do
tests all
corporate
of
stuff
these
too,
things, right? So
but
they've got
I'm more
hundreds of
PM
ornithopters
side of
going back
that,
and forth
but then
between all the
Yeah,
I'm a
all the server
technical
boundaries.
guy
Yep. Lots
that
of-
does a lot more
There's a lot
specific.
of testing that goes into a project like this.
Well, I
Yes.
can't really say much
Yes.
about it,
and,
but
and the more sandboxy you get, the more things can break, and that's kind of what
Obviously,
makes it
the more
interesting.
freedom we also give to players,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
more
Yeah,
things
yeah,
can break.
exactly.
And like, I think I said that
That's
to
so
you
fun.
earlier as well.
all right,
but, like,
guys. So
you know,
I'm gonna show my Yep, but Linux is what pays the bills around here, if you know what I mean. Red Hat engineer. That's what people need to get into. Or Windows, but Windows is kind of pain in the butt. It's a steep learning curve for Linux, but then once you're in, you find it's like easier than Windows. It's easier to fix things. Because once you get like, dude, if you gotta go into the frickin' reg editor and you gotta start fixing crap in there, and especially when you start doing like STIG compliance stuff, and I do all that too, you know, cyber compliance stuff. So, vulnerability stuff, you know, I do all that. I'm telling you, man, that's what people need to get into. All that good cyber stuff, IT related stuff. Actually, I could tell people what they need to do. Yeah, Linux Plus cert. That's why I got Linux Plus. I got Linux Plus, Security Plus. I got some crappy, stupid Windows cert, and then I have I got my 2 degrees. I did everything when I was I didn't do any of this when I was younger. I was in the army. In my 20s and 30s. I was a late bloomer. So I went all when I was 38. I started going back to school. It's nice when the government pays for it because I had GI Bill. So I don't know if you're American, but US, if you serve the U.S. military, you get basically a free college, and then on top of that, you get all kinds of other stuff too. But like, I used all of that. Oh, you got all the Octa certs. Cool. Yeah, see, that's something I don't. I'm not on that side of the scope of it. I assume it pays well. Most of this stuff pays well now. Nobody wants to do it. Oh, Romanian military. Cool. Yeah, I was a U.S. Army guy. Yeah, I did that for 20 years. I've talked about it on the channel to people. I don't know if you probably were in some of those. I always used to live in Europe. I used to live in Germany, so I was just in Europe. I was just in Germany in March, visiting. I think I don't know if you are Romanian, but my in-laws are actually Ukrainian. My mother-in-law and all them, but they live in Germany. Yeah, I speak a little bit of German. My wife is German. My wife speaks 3 languages. My wife speaks Russian, German, and English. My wife's from over there. My wife is. I brought one back. I got one. I took her home. Ja, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. Bitte langsam, bitte sprechen Sie Deutsch langsam, bitte. I can get around. I can order food. I can do all the normal life stuff in Germany, but I can't really hold any big conversations. It's funny because my wife speaks German, but when we go to Germany, I have to do all the traveling work, renting the cars and tickets and train tickets and do all this stuff, and she speaks it fluent. And she's just on along for the trip. It's funny. My wife speaks Russian. English is her 3rd language. That's funny. You try to order water, but you got a verse. Where were you at? What city was that? Before I play this video. What's the exact date of this? Doesn't say. Oh, Trier. Oh, you're way over there. I've never been there. I've never been to Luxembourg either. I've been to we just went to, well, we were married in Denmark. Me and my wife got married in Denmark, but then we were just back in Germany to visit her mom, and then we went to Amsterdam, and then to Norway. We went to Norway. I went and visited Funcom, which I'm still promising to finish that dang video, and I'm just get so bogged down. Maybe in the morning I'll wake up. I'm supposed to go to church tomorrow, but I don't know if I'm going to go, guys. I'm bad. I ate a Globetrotter? Oh, are a Globetrotter. Well, I mean, I just lived there for I lived in Germany for 13 years. I should speak better German. I think we did some stuff with the Romanian army before. I could have sworn we did some kind of joint training in Germany with the Romanian army back in the day. Dude, I've heard of Romania is like really nice to go live now. Yeah, they have some kind of like famous car. I was watching some videos on YouTube, like people rev their cars and they wreck them, and I think it's Romania. Maybe it's Romania where they have like the famous car meet every year where they have everyone's revving up all their Beamers and supercars and rich cars and they wreck them, and people just stand on the sides of the road just to wait to watch people crash. And I was like, that looks so much fun. I kind of have like a nice car. I would not risk doing that to it. But man, what's up with Romania, dude? The people got some big baller money over there. Man, they're rich. Big money over there. Little gypsies in Romania, like Czech Republic. We're not talking about Dune at all. That's funny. I've been to Czech Republic. I went there on my birthday one year. We went over the border. We got like $1.50 Jack and Cokes. It was so cheap. This is back in like 2011-ish. 12-ish? No, when did we get back from? I can't remember when it was that. I got back from Afghanistan in 2012. It might have been before that. It might have been the 2000. No, because we were in Iraq. We were in Afghanistan for my birthday, 2011. We were already there. Man. But we were home for my birthday in 2012. Maybe it was 2012 when my buddy took me to, he drove me over the border. I didn't even really get that drunk. So I'm a big metalhead. So my big thing was I used to go to all the metal concerts in Europe, Germany. Talked about that before. Oh, they build big houses. Yeah, I've seen video. I've seen like the reality shows. Ugh. I don't really drink that much no more. I'm in my 40s. I can't party no more like that. Dude, I would love to go to Romania. Go visit the Dracula's castle. Dude, I watched this crappy vampire movie. And they filmed in Romania. Who's all still on here? Anyways, yeah, so I'm going back to my original December 2023 is when I did my first Dune Awakening video. December 27th. This was when I first did a video for... Oh, okay. So, weird thing that you're from Romania. I was working on an outline to make... I'll probably never do this. This was just something I was working on. I'm a big vampire guy. Like, I like vampire stuff. Entertainment-wise. I was actually gonna try to write a series of books about vampires, and then I'm not an author or nothing. I have no. I'm just complete. It would just be completely for fun, and if it went anywhere, it would have been cool, right? But I have a whole outline of a book I was gonna write with like 3 books. Let's see if I can pull up some of the names I was for the characters. I had done research a little bit. What was the name? The names of the characters. Where's I came up with like I have like characters created in like a whole outline for these books I want to write for this vampire series I want to write. It takes place in Romania. I can't find it. Where's it? Oh man. I don't think I have it saved on this one. It's probably on my phone. Let's see if I can find it. I need to I definitely need to make sure I don't lose that outline, because that's all my info. I worked on it for a long time. Let's see here if I can find plot. No, that's not it. It's gonna be way at the bottom here somewhere. Ooh. Maybe this is about it. It's right here. Oh. Oh man, this goes way up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay. So I think the main characters were gonna be this. Is it Angelica? Was it Angelica Balan and Alexandru Albescu? Are those Romanian names? These are the characters' names I came up with for my book. I'm kind of giving my story away here. This is a great, cool story. But anyways, I've come up with this whole thing, and it's basically he's this Alexandru. He's a vampire lord, and then he's like a lord over, and there's in the village in this area. So basically, is that your name? That's funny, dude. But anyways, he's this lord, vampire lord. He's been kind of like basically, kind of living. He's not an evil vampire per se, and he kind of protects the area. See, in my story, there's bad and good. So then there's gonna be like, some vampire lore that kind of protect their villages and their kingdom. So like the human governments of that time, because this takes place in the 1500s, I think is where I'm having, yeah, mid 1500s Romania, around the Vlad the Impaler time, right? So I think it's going to be a couple, like sometime after or before. I have to look at all my information. I wrote down notes, but so basically this guy, he's going to be like kind of more of a, he treats the humans in his village good. And then he doesn't just, his vampire kingdom is kind of spread in that whole area, but he's kind of like a loner. He's kind of lonely, but he takes care of his people, and they actually respect that lord. Of course, they don't know he's like a vampire, but like, and of course he can't come out in the day and all that. They have like magic rings and stuff they can wear to come day walk in the story, but any of that comes out later. But then he's gonna make a new cape, like his family sigil cape. His brother, he has a brother that comes out, you find out later, that he's also a they're born, see, he's born a vampire. He's born as a vampire and not turned into one. So he has a nobility that goes way back thousands of years, generations. So and his brother is a jerk though. Yeah, his brother is Radu. How'd you know that? No, but Radu, yeah, that's the bad guy's name. The Vlad Impaler already was. I guess I'm copying too much. Maybe I need to change it up. I didn't even know any of that. I just basically was writing an outline and I was researching some things and that came up. No, his brother. I can't remember what I named the guy's brother in this. That might have been something I added on later. But in my story, he's kind of a good guy. And then I haven't decided. I think when I was writing this, I don't think I had decided whether he's going to have a brother or not. I think that was something I might have added later. Like you find out later in the second book or something. I don't want to ruin the story. I want to write these books and I'm trying to the town name. So the town name so what's going to happen is the peasant girl, she's like also a main character. What's going to happen is Angelica, she's a seamstress. She's like in her 20s, like 22 years old. And then he summons her parents are the main tailors of the town, of the village. And he's going to summon, so he has some like familiar type people that work for him, right, at the castle. This is a castle. But then what's going to happen is he's going to summon, they're like not vampires, they're kind of like ghouls or familiars, kind of, so to speak. But they're going to summon the seamstress, but then the dad can't really, he's getting old, so he's not good anymore, so he sends the daughter to go and basically, this is all made up. This is all what I've made up. This is not an existing story, guys. This is my story that I come with. And it might inadvertently copy somebody. I don't know. And so she goes up to the castle. There's gonna be a whole thing where the dad's like, "Be careful, this guy." There's legends and stories of this guy and people going up there and never coming back, kind of situation. And that's kind of standard for vampire stuff. But then she's gonna go up there. And then she starts making this cloak for him. And then, he don't kill her or nothing. He just he actually likes her. And then they make a bond and a relationship kind of thing forms. And then she's gonna make this cloak for weeks and weeks, period of a couple months, maybe even. And then basically he's gonna fall in love with her, and then I'm kind of cutting to the plot points. There's other stuff going on in between this too. So there's politics going on in here too, like vampire politics. I'm gonna have, because there's gonna be different regions of Romania and the world. Really, it's because they're not gonna be isolated, but that's really where they're gonna be at. And then I know that I'm a Dune channel, but I have a whole vampire thing I'm building. It's funny, right? Anyways, I'm way invested into this in my mind, Anyways, but it's gonna be kind of like a love tragedy story going on here. And then I gotta go through all my notes here. I'm kind of looking at them. So mid 1500s. I have so much notes on this. Alexandru, the lord of that area. Let's see, where's their dang town? I just made this city up. I kind of looked it up, like common villages names and things. Let's see here. I'm gonna tell you the town name, and you're gonna say, "That's my town." Watch. We'll see if we can find it here. So the village name is... Where the hell? I can't find it. Well, he's going to be kind of like a jerk at first. There's going to be kind of like a Beauty and the Beast kind of situation going on in the beginning of it. Not a jerk, but just kind of like... He's going to be like... But then the more she comes back and forth to the castle... Oh, okay, Bucharest. This town... But that's going to be like the first part of the book. And this book series is going to take place over centuries. It's going to go all the way to modern day. That's my plan. I can't find it where I came up with the town name. But long story short, before I watch this video, it's already 12:30. I'm surprised people are still watching and listening to me to talk about my vampires. My vampire book idea. Instead of watching Dune stuff. Man, I'm trying to find the town name it came up with. What the heck? Maybe it's not. Maybe I had it in a different notes section. I have a lot of notes I got to go through on this because I put a lot of thought into it, guys. If you're still watching. I'm gonna have to. Oh wait, where's my? What? What just happened? Why did it? Oh, I see. That's May. I need March. How come I can't? This is not good. It's like not showing up in here. Well, at least this is showing up. Jesus. Well, I'm gonna have to go. It looks like I'm gonna have to go back and rewrite some stuff because my some of my notes don't seem to be in here anymore. How I don't know, let me go back. Let me close this and reopen it. Okay, May. How far back can this go? There we go. Now it's okay. Okay, there we go. Recap. Okay, here's my notes. Good. They're not gone. Yeah, so basically, did I change his name at some point? I might have changed his Crimson Duel. Oh no, this is what happens later on. That's like the book names later on. Let me get back to this. So I need. I'll tell you more about the story if you're still interested. Yeah, that's a good joke. Dang, this is like. Holy smokes. I'm gonna have to go way back. How come I can't just go back to the top of this note? This is a lot. Dude, I got so many notes. I'm scrolling, and I got so much notes here, dude. How do you just get back to the top here? Okay, there we go. Here we go. We're gonna find it out here, dude. This is what we're gonna find out. Okay, yeah, Alexandru Balan, Frail Angelica Balan. Same thing. Okay. Here's the name of their village. I found it. The village that he's kind of his castle's on top of is called Vatra Nuo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Nua. Vatra Nuo. It has a little thingy thing at the end on top of the A. I don't know how to speak any Romanian, but new. Exactly. I don't know if that makes sense for a village name. But anyways, that's the name of the place that I came up with. Yeah, but I don't know if that means it. It's like saying, yeah, but does that even make sense as a village name? Would that even make sense as a village name back in the old days? But anyways, if not, but anyways, so what's gonna happen in my book? The basics of it is that if I ever write this thing, I probably never will. But so she's gonna make this cloak for him over a series of weeks or months. I haven't really decided on how long it's gonna be. He's gonna be kind of like closed off in the beginning, but then eventually, And she obviously doesn't know he's a vampire. But then what's going to happen is he falls in love with her, and she's kind of like basically kind of falling for him too. But then he's more in love with her, really, I think, at that time. And then they have basically a relationship starts. But what's going to happen is that she is going to get attacked by like basically some kind of like criminals, traveling band of criminals, and basically mortally wounded. And on her way home, she's gonna be walking home from the castle one of the nights, and then she's gonna get attacked. And then he'll make it there to save her. And he's gonna like kill all. This is my book's gonna be semi little bloody and stuff, right? You know, there'll be some. He loves her, so he's basically going to freaking just rip these guys to shreds, right? He basically does kind of save her, but nah, it's too late. She's already dying. And then because he can't live without her now at this point, he's gonna turn her into a vampire. And then, but she didn't really want it, right? Want to be that or whatever. So then what's going to happen is he's going to take her back to the castle, and then she's going to basically turn after he bites her and all that, feeds her the blood and all kind of thing like that. And then, but then she's going to resent it, right? So then, and the parents are going to like wonder where the hell is their daughter at, all kind of, there's going to be all this other side information, you know, this is the basics of it all. And she's going to be basically, and in my version of vampires, since they're like true full blood born vampires, if you get turned by one of them, you know, you inherit their beauty or whatnot. You know, so like but then you don't become fully turned until you feed. If you don't feed, you die, right? You die. If you don't do initial feeding, you'll die, you wither and just kind of die. But then she won't feed. Because he brings her like, he even tries to bring her like bowls of blood that's not even like a person, just to like get her to drink blood. And then, she won't. And then what's going to happen is she's going to get so crazily hungry that eventually she's going to like the like basically the familiar kind of, they're not slaves, but he has like maids and stuff and they take care of the castle, and they're kind of like, they're human, you know, they're all human, but they work there. They're kind of like, they're not allowed to leave the grounds. Once they're in there, they're basically kind of, they can't like, some of them can, but I haven't really figured all that out yet. But one of the maids is going to bring her if you want to read more. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've read some of the Vlad stuff. See, I was putting this, my book, my story of vampire stuff is around that time of Vlad, like the 1500s or whatever he was. Maybe it was 1300s, but anyway, I can't remember. But anyways, it was supposed to be around the time of that's why it might cross over. You know what I'm saying? There might be some crossover with some of that, but yeah, I know all about the Turks. I just don't remember all the timelines of all that. And he was the impaler, right? Because when he would kill him, he'd put them all on stakes as a warning not to come back here again. He's almost like kind of like a hero. Like he was almost like kind of like a savior of Europe, right? But then all these years, he's evil. He's an evil freaking. Because they think like, oh, you put him on stakes. The Turks do way worse stuff. Then they were doing way worse stuff to people than what they were wiping out entire, you know, populations, right? But then Vlad put some people on stakes because he knew what was coming. but this is from my understanding. But he was almost like a savior of the region, right? Because they couldn't get all the way up in because of him. Oh, he was one of the reasons, at least. It's kind of interesting stuff. Anyways, going back to the book, the idea that I'm coming up with, she will refuse to feed. She's like, no, I don't want this. You did this to me. Like, there's gonna be all this drama, right? With him turning her to a vampire, and then he's like, you must feed, you must drink blood, all this thing, you're gonna die. But then she refuses. It's gonna be like weeks, right? And then a maid girl comes in there with fresh sheets, whatnot, and she goes into a frenzy, and she's gonna attack because she doesn't want to attack nobody. That's her thing. She doesn't want to kill nobody, and then she ends up doing it anyways. And I can't remember if she kills. The girl doesn't die, but she almost kills her because he has to storm in and stop her. But anyways, but when in this one, in my lore, it's going to be kind of similar to like Interview with Vampire. When you turn to a vampire, you get all beautiful looking and everything. Well, that's going to happen to her. She's going to become but it doesn't happen until you feed. So when she feeds on that girl, she becomes all instant. She's gonna just shift and become like a beautiful queen, gorgeous, perfect, whatever. Because she's gonna look all messed up, and because she hasn't fed, she's gonna look like she's dying. And then she feeds, and boom, she's gonna like transform into a gorgeous chick. You know what I'm saying? And then like supermodel essentially, like Playboy, not Playboy, but like a Victoria's Secret model. She's gonna turn into one, essentially, the way I'll describe it in the book. And then because he's like a handsome ripped guy, because he's a vampire, but he's like handsome and big Fabio supermodel looking kind of guy. That's how it'll look. But then she's like, oh crap, I'm a vampire. But then after that whole scene, it gets into now she's gonna be his wife or whatnot, and now she's gonna be queen of this area. So then it's gonna shift into, she has to learn vampire etiquette because they have a noble structure of their own. So I've gone into all this stuff. I wrote it down notes, but like there's gonna be different envoys of different vampire regions. The royalty come through. And some are like, some areas aren't nice to their humans, like he is, or whatever. And he's going to have to teach her all of this whole new world that she's now involved in. And it's going to be all vampire royalty, and, some are turned or some are noble, but he's like noble ancient blood. So he's kind of basically, and so some of them look down on him because he's supposed to be like this from this ancient noble vampire caste that's supposed to just humans are beneath us and this, that, but you treat him so basically, yeah. But he's like the big dog in the area still. So it's kind of interesting. And now they're pissed. So some of these people are going to come in, these other vampire nobles are going to come, they're going to have they're going to come to his castle for a big meetup. A big, like a G8 summit, so to speak, for vampires from all the areas. And then she's going to be there. And then they're all going to be like scoffing at her because, oh, she's beneath us. She turned her. She's not from noble blood. Oh, there's going to be all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be all this drama. He's got to teach her all the inner workings of vampire culture now and lore. And then, and then before that actually happens in the book, he's going to have to take her out feeding the teacher. That what I just talked about, that comes after he has to start taking her out to teach her how to hunt. So since she doesn't want to kill innocent people, he's like, well, we're going to hunt criminals and rapists and killers and murderers and all. That's who you'll feed on. And so he teaches her how to find these. So she becomes like almost becomes like a. There's gonna be like a whole thing where she's almost like a investigator in a weird way. Not an investigator, but a a tracker to track these heinous crimes these humans or these criminals are doing. She tracks these criminals to like their little huts they're hiding in the woods, and she's basically there's gonna be all this stuff about her with him, hunting these people down, and then she'll eat them. But and there's gonna be a lot of that going on, and then I'm kind of ruining the whole story. It's all in my mind. I know I probably know more of this stuff than Dune, but anyways, there's gonna be a lot more intricate stuff in there, and then a lot more there's going to be politics and all this stuff, and she has to learn how to have like a trainer, the person training her to be high society now. So she's going to have to know how to do all the dresses and all this crap, noble stuff. And she's like, I don't know how to do any of this. I'm a peasant girl. Now I'm a queen. Now I'm the wife. Well, they're going to get married, in the book, and then now I'm the wife of the most influential vampire of the world, or whatever region, at least. And then this basically, I haven't really decided what I'm gonna do, because I don't know if you're still listening, but yeah, this all takes place in Romania. There's gonna be a rival faction. One of the vampire nobility is going to want to take over his realm because they see him as weak, and also there's going to be all this stuff going on. At the end of the first book, I don't know how I'll get there, but there's going to be a big battle. He's going to raise his and I haven't decided whether I'm going to go cuckoo into it with like he can raise bodies as soldiers, like necromancy. I had thought about throwing that in there. He would raise. It would be kind of a thing where it's like basically, well, you don't have any military. How are you going to fight the vampire army? Because they're using like my theory was gonna be. I don't know how mystical I want to get into it. Like I haven't decided whether he's just gonna have some human mercenaries, or if I'm going to make this like real magical, like he's going to be able to raise all these dead bodies to fight for him kind of situation. I'm still trying to figure out how I should go that route. And we're already doing vampires, so. Yeah. So it's already doing vampires, so if you do zombies, it wouldn't really matter. But But then this faction is going to have mercenaries of this bloodthirsty, this killers and bad criminals and stuff as their army. And they're going to come try and take out the village and take him out. And this other vampire lord guy is going to be the guy trying to do that. And then pretty much in my story as it is right now, he's going to get killed. Alexandru in the first book. I'm kind of ruining it. This is how I was having. He's going to get slayed, making her now and she's going to be like, what the heck do I do now? Now I'm in charge of all this. And then, now she will be boom. Now she's the queen. Now she's like basically, and this is only taken place over like a few years. So it's not like she's like ancient at this point. Yeah, that's the way I might change it where he doesn't die, but. And in the second book, but so what's going to happen is he'll get slayed. She's going to have to basically run the battle. He'll get slayed like in the beginning of it or something like that. And she's going to have to basically take over this war and fight off this other faction of vampires. And then they win, she wins. And then that's pretty much going to be kind of the end of the book, but she's going to she's going to rule then after that. Then book 2, it would be about 200 something years later, maybe the 1800s. And it's going to be now she's like kind of established. She knows she's like ruling that area. And she's sad. She misses Alexandria, all this stuff. And then she's going to get usurped by a different faction. She's going to get basically overthrown. I haven't really figured out the details of that yet. And she just kind of has to go into hiding. She escapes like this overthrow of like they're gonna overthrow her somehow. I can't remember. I got it in notes. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff in there, like nobility meetings. They're gonna become so all these envoys are gonna keep coming to her asking her for permissions to do things and all this stuff, and she's gonna be like, no, you can't do that or whatever, and they're gonna get sick of her because they want to go and do evil stuff, and because she never turned evil really, and she's kind of alone now. She basically turned into him from the first book, so now she's kind of alone, and not really anybody. So what's gonna happen is she's gonna get overthrown. She escapes, and then she's gonna try and figure out who the heck you're not gonna know really who did it in the beginning somehow, and then she's gonna try and figure this out. What's gonna happen is she's going to have to link up. I haven't figured out all the details how this happens and how they meet and everything, but she's gonna end up having to team up with the vampire hunter because all the evil vampires are going to kind of take over that area, and then her parents are long dead and all that kind of stuff, but like she's going to have to team up with like this vampire hunter guy, like this younger guy, and then they're going to be like, you're a vampire, I hate you, but I have to team up with that kind of thing, right? And then there's going to be this whole book of them kind of trying to like get in there to take out the bad evil vampires, help him, and then they're gonna fall in love eventually in the book, and then she's gonna fall in love with this vampire hunter. It's kind of romantic, but also bloody in battle. It's gonna have everything. I'm kind of giving off my ideas here. It's all spitballing. I don't even know. I probably shouldn't even give off my ideas. Someone could be watching steal my ideas, but whatever. Doesn't matter. And then at the end of that book, there's so much more I have to look. You find out that she was betrayed. She turns a girl, I think, in that one, if I remember my notes right. She's gonna turn a girl that was a victim. And then she was a victim of whatever killer or something, or I can't remember. She's gonna save her and turn her in, but then that girl's gonna freaking betray her and stuff. And then later on, she's gonna become bloodthirsty and evil. But she's like nice and sweet before she gets turned. Something's gonna happen. She has a turner, and then she's like, "Holy shit! I made her into a monster." And then so that's gonna happen. But then, yeah, don't spoil it. Yeah, there's gonna be a book 3, but the book 3 takes place in modern day. So I won't spoil it. It's gonna jump to modern times. So she's still alive, but then, well, it's gonna be a girl she saves and turns into a vampire, and that girl betrays her to go work for the people that overthrew her. I haven't really like basically figured it all the timelines on that second book really. I know the first book I have more in line, but the second book, it's and then she'll go all the way into modern day, where it's basically she's in the States now. She's like in New York or something, and she had to basically leave everything behind. She basically abandoned all of the nobility structure and just went on her own. I haven't figured out what years and times she gets to the US, but she goes there and she's basically just killing criminals to feed off of, same kind of situation. And then she's in the U.S. And then what happens is she finds out that there's a criminal mafia vampire crew that's basically what's mother. Some mother. What's gonna happen is she finds out that there's evil vampires. They're like mobsters at this point, and then they're like from the old country though, and they're basically trapping girls, and then maybe men too. I don't even know, but they're making them. They're basically human trafficking vampires in this one, so it'd be kind of like a thing like that, turning women into like unsuspecting women into like like mobster stuff, like forcing them into not necessarily like brothels, but maybe like like brothels and strip clubs and things in the city underground, like this whole underground thing. And then they use them to kill their frickin' human like competition. Yeah, dude. But I've thought about this before the P. Diddy stuff. She's not. She's good. The Angelica, she's good. She's isolates herself from society. She's in society, but then she finds a girl that got whatever, a girl that gets turned into a vampire basically by these group, and it was forced into human trafficking kind of thing. She finds out about this location, and then she busts in to rescue people, and then she finds people. These women are like basically abused, but they're vampires now, but they're being like basically abused by these bad guy vampires, and then she basically rescues one of them. That's going to she saves her, and then she's got to basically, she feels bad for her because she reminds her of her. And then she saves her from this servitude thing that they had her doing. And then, because this girl, she's going to have a whole side part of the book. She's going to be like, she's going to show up, I'm here at the big city. I just got here from Iowa, like something like that. And then she's like, hey, they want to hire me as a model. And she gets human trafficked and turned into a vampire. That's kind of like what I'm going to go with. It's kind of interesting. And then used. And then, but then Angelic's gonna go and raid that place facility and then save her early on in the book, and then she's gonna like kind of feel bad for her, and then she's gonna train her in the ways of being like a good vampire person, and then they team up to figure out what's going on, and then she's gonna like get her a job at like the hospital. She's gonna help her get a job as a nurse, so she can get to the blood bank to get blood and stuff like that. There's all this other stuff. They team up with like a detective, and then I can't remember the girl's name. I have a name for her. I can't remember the girl she saves. But I'm kind of ruining the whole damn book, aren't I? But anyways, yeah, guys, if you were just tuning in, if you are listening, I was talking to a person about an idea of a vampire book series I was looking at writing, which I'm not. I never wrote a book before. I had nothing. I probably shouldn't even tell all my ideas on here, but I'll probably never do it anyway, so who cares? But if you ever do see these books, it's like I'll let you guys know. Things could change. The whole story could change. So there's gonna be all this stuff. It's gonna be very, very interesting stuff. But yeah. So before I get off here, we're gonna watch my very first Dirty Feet Crew. Why did my chat just like totally did something weird? That was weird. I repeated. Anyways, Yeah, I'm gonna play my first video I made on this game in December 27th, 2023. So let's see what I said back in the beginning. This is my own video. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Arrakis Central. And just wanted to do a quick little news update on what we're seeing so far on Dune Awakening and the closed beta update. The last news, most recent news, was December 19th. As you can see right here, if you look in, they had a post on December 19th, Dune Awakening, and it was basically, as we're wrapping up this series, we'd like to thank you all who showed an interest in our closed beta test, which I did, but I didn't get in. That's a different story. After concluding our first closed beta, so that was, they finished that closed beta earlier in the month. They gathered an invaluable feedback. They're preparing for a second test under NDA early next year with more spots open. So they don't say when, but after the new year. I'm hoping sooner than later. So it looks like there's still going to be more closed betas. So open beta looks like that's not happening anytime soon. So that's what it's looking like right now. Of course, they gave a December 20th Happy Holidays, and then of course the pinned from December 8th is just basically their trailer that they premiered at Games Award. So nothing new on there. On here, it's interesting. What it says is you can join the Discord, which I did. So I'll be taking a look at that as well. On the Dune Awakening Discord, they had a let's see here. This is yeah, on nothing really too eventful going on the Dune Awakening Discord right now. Events, so nope, they have some book club stuff going on there. A bunch of just people in there discussing the beta, and they've been talking about Conan, Age of War, which is kind of the company's other product, which is I'm hoping that Dune Awakening is going to be a survival like that level of Conan, because Conan's basically just like Ark to me, similar to Ark, and where you have to survive, build, craft, all that good stuff. So that's what it looks like Dune Awakening is going to turn into. It's funny. Ooh. And that's exactly what I want it to be, something in the vein of the Conan game, and I'm really excited about this. So stay tuned. If you like this channel, make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Dune content. I have more videos in the works for... Yeah, so that's my old video, guys. Oh, man. That is old school. That's 2023 December. Man. That was when all they were doing was, like, tweets. That's all the news you were getting back then was on the tweets on X. And, yeah, man, that is crazy. We've come so far, and the game comes out next week, guys. Wow. Man. Well, folks, it is getting late for me here. I appreciate you guys tuning in to watch and listen to me rant about my book idea, which will never happen probably. And yeah, tell me what you guys think about Dune. Man, we got not much time left. 4 days. So yeah. Yep. Well, folks, I'm gonna have to call it an evening though. Alex Ghost, stay tuned. I'm gonna have to pick your brain on a Romanian stuff, because I need those ideas for my book if I ever get a chance. But for now, I'll be focusing on Dune. So, all right, guys. I don't know if I'll be doing a live tomorrow night, but I am supposed to do more lives now that we're closer to the game launch. So I'll see what we can do. Maybe we can do quick 1 hour little lives each night. Maybe 30, 45 minute to an hour lives every night until the launch. I won't be able to do more than that, but maybe an hour a night. So maybe I will get one in tomorrow night, guys. We'll see. I'll let you guys know in the Discord. Join the Discord. Make sure to like and subscribe, or follow me on YouTube and on Twitch. And if you do have TikTok, I'm on there as well. And everyone, I wish you a good evening, and we will see you guys next time.
Let my courage show. In the desert, no way.